Hey everybody, a warm welcome to the show. I'm Rebecca McLaughlin-Easton, and this week we're taking the temperature of the region's healthcare sector as we attend Arab Health 2020. A little bit later on, we'll speak to a legend of the UAE's healthcare system. She is the UAE's first female Indian doctor, and she estimates she's delivered around 15,000 babies in just over 50 years.
When I arrived, there were room full of patients. That made me stay here.
We'll also take a closer look at the growing number of people suffering from asthma here in the Emirates and visit a dedicated treatment centre in Abu Dhabi. But first, let's take a closer look at the healthcare sectors of the Middle East and North Africa and some of the key topics dominating Arab Health this year.
Dubai's ruler toured this year's edition of Arab Health, which organisers believe attracted more than 50,000 medical professionals, and being showcased were the latest technological and AI innovations. A recent report by Fitch Solutions suggests that the MENA region's healthcare market is projected to grow to more than $243 billion through 2023. And at Arab Health, the CEO of Seha, a company which makes up around half of the health services in the UAE capital, believes that the billions being invested in Abu Dhabi's healthcare system would inevitably keep improving the quality. And he was taking steps to ensure this happened.
The most significant thing we've done recently is we've opened SSNC Hospital, which is a brand new state-of-the-art 700-bed hospital, and we've signed a joint venture agreement with the Mayo Clinic.
Building a healthcare system for the UAE that involved more Emiratis was also a priority for the CEO.
What we really failed to do is to transfer knowledge to an Emirati population in the way that I think this country deserves with the investment that it's making. So this is a strategic partnership focused very much on developing an Emirati clinical and managerial staff that can lead their own health system.
Whilst Arab Health is looking towards the medical innovations of tomorrow, there is one lady who helped lay the foundation stones for the UAE's healthcare sector back when it was still called the Trucial States. Let me introduce you to the first Indian female doctor in the UAE.
Conducting daily hospital rounds is the secret to 82-year-old Dr. Zulekha Daud's energy and enthusiasm for life. Having trained in her native India, Dr. Zulekha worked alongside her doctor husband in Kuwait before she was asked to become the UAE's first Indian female doctor in 1964. Leaving her husband behind to embark upon her career, Dr. Zulekha broke with the convention of the time and took a leap of faith. She learnt Arabic and she came to the Trucial States, a place back then with little medical facilities or resources. She was inundated with up to 50 walk-in patients a day seeking her medical care. And in 1992, the first Zulekha hospital was opened in Sharjah. Today, with pharmacies, medical centres and additional hospitals in the Emirates and India, the group is now a prodigious private healthcare institution. Dr. Zulekha has continually raised awareness of life-threatening conditions, and this hasn't gone unnoticed by the ruling families of Abu Dhabi and Dubai, who have honoured her commitment to the health of UAE residents. Inspire went along to meet with Dr. Zulekha in Sharjah.
Dr. Zulekha, thank you so much for speaking to me today.
Thank you.
40 to 50 patients were coming to see you when you first arrived because you were the first female doctor here. You learnt the language, which was a great skill and absolutely essential. But how did you cope with the lack of infrastructure in the Trucial States, as it was known back then?
The medical facilities were very minimal there. You know, X-ray was just there. And we were taught signs and symptoms. And there was no pregnancy test, no test, lab reports were not there. That made us learn so many things about how to be patient with the patients and how to deal with the patients.
You have delivered around 15,000 babies here in the UAE in your time. But of the ailments that you were treating and the sickness in adults, what were the most common types of conditions back then?
When I arrived, there were room full of patients. That made me stay here. I was fortunate that I knew Arabic. and I have to address that fever, bleeding, cough, cold, asthma, very little facilities, very little medicine by the way of now. Now if you'd say those were the very, very primitive things.
Your Emirati patients came to love you dearly and value you being here in the Emirates. They called you Mama Zulekha. You started off with 30 beds treating them,
Yes.
which expanded to a clinic and then hospitals, the first hospital in the UAE to be named after anybody. You now have hospitals in India as well. So my question is, do you still have ambitions to expand further?
My ambitions are not in line with what I can do now. See, I have limitations of doing, but my children are very good. They are assisting me.
Looking at the UAE's broader healthcare sector, you're still very much a part of it today, and much innovation, research and development is taking place. However, a lot of people still fly out to the States and to Europe, not least for cancer. When do you foresee that changing?
I wanted to do that. That is what I have done in India, because they had no cancer treatment in the state of Maharashtra and in UAE. There was one hospital in Ain, Mafraq, for which they had to go. Or they traveled for cancer. The diagnosis was a little difficult in the beginning. You see, it was not, people did not come very early for the cancer treatment. Once you go to say stage 3 and 4, then it becomes a little difficult for you to get all right.
You've lived in the UAE for most of your life, it's fair to say. So where does your heart beat? Where's home for you?
In UAE. My whole, this thing, I cannot go to India and stay. I know the people and the rulers, they know me. They have confidence in me because I have treated them 3 generations. They come to me for deliveries. You know, the mother, the grandmother, and all of them, they know me as a midwife. I want to continue this, the compassion.
Dr. Zulekha, it's been great to meet you and fascinating to hear your stories. Thank you.
Thank you and goodbye.
As Dr. Zulekha mentioned in her interview with Inspire Middle East, of the tens of thousands of patients she would treat in the 1960s, asthma was a common complaint. And at the Arab Health Exhibition this year, asthma is also an important talking point, not least because there are estimated to be 1.3 million sufferers in the UAE. Salima Saeed has the story.
Living in an arid, dusty environment prone to sandstorms can create a whirlwind of respiratory problems for some UAE residents who suffer from asthma. According to the Global Asthma Network, an estimated 1.3 million UAE residents, or around 14% of the population, suffer from asthma. Weather experts say that in general, the spring and summer months are peak times for sufferers, with higher levels of fine sand particles in the region's atmosphere.
Either in the Arab Peninsula and North Africa, there are wide expanses of scattered sand dunes. This, along with high winds, might stir up the dust and sand, transporting it to densely populated cities. Therefore, this has an impact on general health for people, mainly that have issues with their respiratory tracts.
Like Khawla from Jordan, who has struggled with the condition for around 20 years. The 57-year-old who moved to the UAE in 1979 takes medicine every other month, which costs more than $3,500. Khawla says her severe symptoms left her prisoner in her own home.
The humidity would affect me a lot, and the sand, to the point where I would faint for hours, from all the exertion, from walking, my breath, from the dust and humidity.
Also affecting chronic respiratory diseases is air pollution, which contributes to the premature death of around 7 million people worldwide every year, according to the United Nations. Taking the matter seriously, the UAE intends to raise air quality from its current level to 90% by next year, as part of its National Vision 2021 agenda. And last year, the capital announced the creation of a new chronic disease registry to improve healthcare outcomes and treatments of conditions like asthma. Another move forward saw the UAE's only dedicated asthma and allergy center open in Abu Dhabi last year. Allergy specialist Dr. Carr says that due to low awareness, sufferers are often misdiagnosing their symptoms or not seeking out preventative care. Overall rates in the UAE are more than 5 times higher than in North America.
Studies in the region show that as many as half of patients with asthma in the UAE have an emergency care visit at some point during the year, or miss school or work because of their asthma, and 4% of patients with asthma in the UAE end up hospitalized annually, and that's a very high number.
Asthma medication might be a combination of drugs, including corticosteroids, which can be inhaled to reduce inflammation and quickly relax the muscle airways. Dr. Carr believes that with a healthy lifestyle, an early diagnosis, and regular lung function tests, sufferers could minimize their amount of treatment. And while there's currently no cure for asthma, his advice could come as a breath of fresh air for regional sufferers.
Thank you very much for that. Thank you. Well, that is a wrap of the show. And before we take the pulse of Instagram this week, let me remind you to catch all of our programs online at euronews.com. I'll see you next time.
UAE resident Florence celebrated his wife Cheryl having given birth to their son at Zulekha Hospital. And Syrian radiologist Dima shared this snap saying that being positive is the best medicine.